it needs a definition of legal immigration, and it needs a definition of illegal immigration. Killing cops or running around causing problems. How did the UK get to the point where there's this brutal nature to immigration?
And when you don't think of people as people, then you get this mean stuff. So she's pregnant, clearly pregnant, right?
Yep, clearly pregnant.
Like quite the baby bump.
Theo gets on one of the double-decker buses in London, and just this report all illegals is everywhere. What's going on?
She's my husband.
He's the plumber.
Jesus.
He's my dentist.
He's the waiter. She's my cousin.
They are illegal immigrants. To hire, feed, or shelter illegal immigrants is a crime. Report all illegal immigrants. Protect Britain.
So my question was about this. In a place where you have no fertility, so population is declining, wouldn't you want as much immigration as possible?
Well, okay, I'm going to say firmly no. So
Okay.
you want an amount of immigration because you want immigration because your population is declining. So you need to bring people in so that way you can maintain a minimum number of people required for the society to function. But the reason I say firm no is because they're in Britain. They're in the UK, which that land can only support so many people. Like say if we were to put 10 billion people in England, like no chance. Like they cannot produce enough food, right? There's no chance, right? And so you need to have controlled immigration so you get there's a maximum number that the land can support at all.
So you're saying, okay, so first step is Britain is limited in land area.
Right. Which
And
means
so therefore limited in population it can hold.
because of it limited by how much food it can produce.
Right. So it's very limited. So there could be some max. Let's say it's 100 million. If you go above 100 million, then you're just going to have starvation.
Right.
But I would guess also it's likely not like the absolute maximum carrying capacity of the islands is also too many because you're not going to have enough jobs for people, right?
Right. So I guess you want some legal immigration. So you definitely want like white collar people because that way you benefit from other countries doing all the training, developing up their 12 through K plus university or whatever. And then now that somebody has a very important job or skill that they've honed and crafted, you can just gobble them up, add them to your country.
And I think you want to add those white collar educated workers as well because they can contribute.
Right.
And also they have low crime, fewer problems, more self-sufficient. Mm-hmm. So there's so many benefits from like letting other countries train them. And then come on in.
Yep. And I think you also want blue collar people. You want to import blue collar people because to supplement your workforce. I guess a nasty way you could say it is if you only bring in white collar people into your country, you're then providing opportunity for your people to only have the low end job or the blue collar jobs, like the ones that are physically challenging. And so you want to bring in some white collar and blue collar people in, together.
And I guess the blue collar jobs, you want to fill in all the potential blue collar jobs up to when you run out of jobs for people to do. So you want all the farms with workers, you want all the factories stocked up with people. Right. But as soon as that's maxed out, you don't want any more blue collar workers.
Right. Otherwise, there's just going to be problems for finding your own people, or even also the immigrants are going to have a hard time finding employment. So I think that's the nasty part about the illegal parts, because if the government says we can have this many people in our society for food and housing, but also this many people in our economy for jobs and roles, and then illegal people are now messing up those estimates.
Right. So I don't know. So it is imperative on the government to restrict immigration.
Right.
Which means it needs a definition of legal immigration and it needs a definition of illegal immigration.
Yeah.
Which means not everyone can come in, right? So this is actually a good government program?
I mean, gosh, in this dystopian world where the world has fallen apart and there are no governments around to keep people organized and cooperative and not just marauding each other, then you can't let everyone in. You let everyone in, then everyone's going to come, and then your society falls apart. I mean, I think that what they're saying in this movie is that Britain was the only country that still stands because they did this.
That's true. So, in fact, the fact that they have a system to stop illegal immigration is one of the primary reasons why it's able to soldier on. which is the primary reason why illegals want to come, or immigrants in general want to come to the Britain at all. So it's like, see, this is the largest selling point for immigrants to show up.
That's right.
Is that they can actually protect its own country. Yes.
That's exactly right. Oh gosh, it feels bad.
Because if Britain let everybody in, society would collapse, which then would relieve the pressure of immigration, because everybody's like, well, that's a shithole too.
We have more arguments about this. Let's come back.
Okay. So this is the newscast that talks about Julian and her fishes. The newscast describes Julian and her fishes as terrorists, but I thought they were the good guys.
Fish's terrorist leader Julian Taylor was killed today in a gun battle with police near Canterbury. 4 other terrorists escaped after murdering 2 officers. Police say they have sufficient forensic and surveillance evidence to identify the 4 killers. All suspects should be considered armed and extremely dangerous.
I mean, from the public's perspective watching this, we've got people who they're describing as terrorists killing cops or running around causing problems. And they're all dangerous and killing people.
Yep.
Is Julian a terrorist?
I mean, given the evidence as provided from this perspective, yeah, terrorist.
So why is Julian and the fishes, why are they good guys? From the perspective of Theo and us as the audience as we're going through this, why does it feel like they're the good guys?
It feels like they're the good guys because they're standing up. So first of all, they're the little guys. I think it's pretty universal that humans like to stand they like that underdog, right? You want the little guy to overcome. You want David to overcome Goliath.
Okay.
And I guess also we just told the story from their perspective, right? Like we are told their moral cause, and then they are chasing after it.
So what is their cause? There's a totalitarian government in Britain with draconian immigration laws.
Yeah.
That is kind of running roughshod over the public. And Julian and the terrorists want to overthrow that government. So
they want to overthrow the government so that way the illegal immigrants can stay.
And even though this is the best country in the world, as far as
the only country in the world, yeah.
There's so many illegals who are trying to come in because Britain is so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's an internal rebellion of people, the fishes, trying to overthrow the government that's responsible for Britain being good.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That's right. They don't like management. That's what it boils down to.
So, but are they right? It is a totalitarian government, and they are mistreating refugees.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time...
at the same time, that totalitarian government is what makes that government appealing to the refugees. Like that's why they want to go there.
That's right, because if the totalitarian government wasn't in power, then Britain may be in chaos like the rest of the world.
Yeah.
In which case that would diminish the drive for the illegals and all the immigrants to come to Britain.
Right. But I think what your question is getting at is, why is she a terrorist? Like, terrorist is a strong word.
So a terrorist, so if there's a power structure, meaning a government that's in place, and there's a rebellion, and it's ragtag.
Yep.
And they want to overthrow the
government. It has to be ragtag, right? Because in order for it to be not ragtag, it would mean that there are peer groups, which means inside the UK you would have another UK-sized government. The only options for the fish group is ragtaggy stuff, is hit and strike and dodge, and it is terrorist stuff, I guess, right?
So that's right. So the official government has tanks and police and guns and batons and official policy.
You don't have
so
tanks.
That's not terrorism. But a terrorist who's a ragtag group going up against the totalitarian government would have to use tactics that could be construed as terrorist tactics. And they have no choice. Right. They have to do that.
Because you don't have tanks.
You don't have tanks. You have to use underhanded tactics and questionable tactics. So the question is, are they being described as terrorists unfairly because they're forced to use these tactics, but their cause is good? Or are they truly just terrorists causing problems? Or is that
That is a firm gray to me.
Yeah.
Because of course the government that's in charge, that's in power, doesn't want other people overthrowing them, so they're going to label them terrorists.
Right.
And but also, I guess, to the point is that they just share different morality. And so Julianne and her fishes have a sense of what's right, and the government and the rest of England or the rest of Britain has its own thoughts.
Yep.
And so just depending on who controls the news, it gets to call the other people the terrorists, I guess.
Right. And also that means that the cause is super gray. Like, which one do we want to be a part of, the government cause or the terrorist cause? Yep. Actually, depending on the situation, you could go either way.
Yep.
And so this is now a propaganda war, a power battle.
Exactly.
And this is the government trying to undermine the fishes.
Yeah.
So,
and
summary,
to maintain order, you can't have people going around killing you police officers if the police officers are what's keeping your society orderly.
Right. So they really are terrorists, even though I may agree with their cause in some circumstances.
And there's kind of no way for them to not be terrorists. Heck,
That's right.
Even like eco-terrorists, like tie yourself to a tree. Like, you didn't use bombs, you didn't kill any police, but like, you're terrorists. Like,
but they have to use those unconventional tactics.
right.
So is a terrorist just somebody using unconventional tactics against a conventional foe?
Where the conventional foe has more power? Maybe, yeah. Oof, I don't like this.
I don't like this. I don't like it at all.
But kind of, I get it. This I also didn't like, but for a very different reason. Okay, so there's a motorcycle there. Can we highlight that with your...
Yeah, motorcycle.
And then there's the driver in the front and the passenger in the back.
Yep.
And so the passenger... These people attacked Julianne and the main character...
Theo.
They attacked Theo. Yeah, thank you. They attacked him, and then they got knocked over because you're on a motorcycle versus a car. Of course, you're not going to win, of course.
Yeah.
And so then they go back to the base, and the passenger in the back is passed out. And is dying, like for sure dying. Not dead yet, but like passed out for sure. And
he's got some kind of wound.
I didn't like this. This didn't make sense to me. Is it possible to be passed out and be on the back of a motorcycle? Like, I've never been the person on the back of the motorcycle, but people have to hold on to you, because otherwise, if you turn or if you slow down or you speed up, if they're not holding on to you, then they have their own momentum. They don't turn with you. So I don't think this is possible.
So he's passed out right now, and he has his wound.
I mean, first, do you agree? Like, if he's passed out, how did they how did he hold on to the driver? And the driver needs all four limbs, both hands and feet, to manipulate the motorcycle. So if this guy in the back is passed out, like, why didn't he just fall off?
So I think if he's straight passed out, and he's like ragdolling it in the back, like the first turn or break, he's gonna go flying off. Yeah. No way.
Agreed.
So does that mean that he has this wound and he's like on the brink of passing out, but his buddy is like, hold on. Once we get there, we'll get you taken care of, buddy. Just stay awake. And so he like uses his adrenaline, holds on. And then as soon as he gets back to the base, he's like, okay, I can't do it anymore. And he just passes out right there.
That is possible. And I think there are cases of this where people, their body is flooded with adrenaline. They're like just barely hanging on, but then as soon as the rescue crew, the paramedics, the firemen there, then they're like, okay, I can relax, and then they pass out. I think that's
and I guess that's consistent with they show up at the wrong spot. They're not supposed to show up to this place because they're trying to manipulate Theo.
Exactly. And
so maybe this place was much closer than the safe house they were supposed to go to, and they chose that because this guy is about to die. He's about to pass out.
You're saying he would not have made it to the place that they were assigned to go to, so then they diverted to this one, but they're not supposed to be here. But it was the only place that they could get to, given that he's like about to die.
Yeah,
he can barely hold on to conscious. Okay, maybe okay.
And it's a risk, but I guess if your buddy's dying, take the risk. Does this mean that for motorcycles, we should have like a backpack of a person, like strap him in, 5-point harness in the back, strap him in. So if somebody's passed out, I can Like in a war zone, I can get somebody out of the trenches.
Okay. I thought you meant for like just everyday people. Like, I might need to bring someone that's passed out home. Like, no, like what is this weird Uber thing? Like somebody passes out, you can just backpack them back to their home.
Right.
Okay, but for like military applications where you can't get a Jeep in there, can't get a Humvee in there, but you can get a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And you can get a motorcycle paramedic to like strap up or get you home. Okay, maybe.
Right, maybe. But I don't think they have that here. He's just on the back holding on.
Maybe it would be better to be in the front like a kangaroo pouch, like a little baby carrier, but big size like an adult man.
Or one of those sidecars. Just throw them in there.
Yeah, but then you get a sidecar, you might as well just get an actual car.
I mean, yeah, use the tools available.
That's true.
I mean, what kind of self-respecting terrorist is going to use a sidecar? Like a little bitch.
Okay, but imagine instead of having people, they had like dogs with the scarf and the aviator goggles. Like that'd be so cute.
Little mascot.
People would not think of you as a terrorist if you had
That's
your
right.
little dogs in the sidecar with the scarf and the helmet and the goggles. Like,
I mean, actually, that's good PR. Now that I'm thinking about it.
that's great PR. How can we be a terrorist? We got these little cute boys.
Yeah. What's the problem? We got dogs.
Oh,
And speaking of animals, throughout the movie, Theo is a reluctant hero, and so a lot of the characters don't like Theo throughout the movie, but we're told that he's a good person, and the animals agree. What do
you mean?
Well, this is during this meeting where they're talking about what to do next in the farmhouse, and this little cat climbs up Theo's leg.
Yeah, this little guy.
Is the little cat gonna climb up Theo's leg if Theo was a weirdo or creepy or a bad person?
Ooh, so honestly, the animals in this movie were so distracting that I missed the dialogue. like when they show him petting that orange cat, I was like, oh, look at this orange cat. I don't know what they were saying in the background. So I guess maybe, I don't know. I mean, maybe they can tell what his energy is, his vibe, but also maybe he just has snacks in there, like, right? Because he's going on a trek, he's going on a mission. Like you put the trail mix in your pocket.
But why would he bring cat food with him?
Cats eat things other than cat food. It could just be like beef jerky or whatever.
Tuna.
They'll even eat
tuna
things
salad
that make
sandwich.
them vomit. They love grass. Grass make them vomit. They love it up. Dogs love chocolate. Chocolate kills dogs. Animals like things that smell tasty.
Do animals have like a sixth sense where it's like they vibe somebody out and they're like, that guy is mean and that guy is nice, I'm gonna go to nice guy? Do they do that?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, if they interact with humans enough so they know what a mean human looks like versus a nice human, like how they like I don't know, hackles up, tension or
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they agree with that. Yeah, these are two little guys.
And this is during the escape, and he just met these guys a couple hours ago tops, and these guys are like, what's up? I'm listening to you now because you're so trustworthy. Like
that's true, because they're like, these are, I don't know if they're guard dogs, but he's definitely an outsider. He's never been there before.
Yeah.
And they're
the dogs,
not barking, they're not raising alerts, they're just like, hey, let's hang out.
And the dogs just immediately take a liking to him. In fact, while there's this high tension thing going on, they're like looking to him for like, what do I do? What do I do?
Which told me that he got snacks.
What about here? He's concealing the car with the special plants, and there's a dog here, and he's like hanging out with him.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, the dog just saw him throw big sticks. Me, dog, like big stick. Throw me, please.
So you don't think Theo, the dogs and the cats like Theo because he's a nice guy? It's because he has sticks and snacks.
I mean, it might be both. I don't know. Right?
So there was an animal theme in this movie that kept coming up again. Yeah.
It's possible. It's possible that they can feel his vibe. Oh,
it's possible. Yeah,
sure.
I believe it. Interesting that in this movie, the big premise is that fertility went to zero, not just low, zero.
Yep.
But coincident with this, coincident with the fertility going to zero was a flu pandemic.
But by chance, Dylan was born. A magical child. And in 2008, along came the flu pandemic. And then by chance, he was gone.
Oh, Jesus.
So pandemics are fairly dystopian.
Yep.
So it's either the zero fertility was caused by something else and the flu pandemic happened by coincidence,
Coincidentally.
or the flu pandemic caused the fertility problems. Because he said 2008, Jasper said 2008 for the flu pandemic, and baby Diego was born in 2009, which is about the right time scale for fertility. It's dropping off. And so the last one's born in 2009. By 2010, everything's off.
Yep.
So
Possible.
did the flu pandemic... So it's discussed. That would be a leading theory.
Right. But it sounds like the dots have not been connected. We're not saying we suspect or we think it was the 2008 flu pandemic. It's just kind of coincidentally at the same time. So whoever's thinking about it hasn't connected the dots.
Right.
Sure.
Also, what a tragedy. Theo's boy, his newborn Dylan, is killed by the flu pandemic. What a tragedy.
But by chance, Dylan was born.
Dylan.
A magical child. And in 2008, along came the flu pandemic. And then by chance, he was gone.
So Dylan was killed by the 2008 flu pandemic. Isn't it such a tragedy?
That's right.
It is a tragedy when people die in a pandemic, especially children.
Especially when it's children, because children represent the future. And so when children are affected by illness, it's a big deal.
So it's brutal. 2008 pandemic maybe got fertility down to zero and also killed children. I wonder.
I mean, gosh. I mean, these two people here, and so the guy who's telling the story and his
Jasper.
wife, and his wife, they lived their whole lives. Even if they turned out to be fine, they didn't get sick from it. But even if they did, they lived their whole lives, right?
It's fine. If they died in the pandemic in 2008, I mean, if they lived their whole life, it's not really a big deal.
Right. So I guess another way you could say it is society would go through large efforts to prevent the illness of children versus the illness of elderly.
Yeah. If it's children, protect them. If it's elderly, hey, take some chances.
That bull's already out for pasture.
This was confusing to me because we show... So we're on the road and there's all this pollution. There's this barrel here and this nasty water, dead cow, all kinds of stuff. These horrible factories polluting. What does the no children have to do with the terrible pollution? I didn't understand.
First of all, I can explain the cow. So when the cow sees the fire that it's hunting it gets in the water. That's just logical. And cows are smarter than we give them credit for. Okay. Unfortunately, the cow seems to have died probably from sepsis from being in this nasty water.
Yep.
But that one makes sense to me.
Okay.
The rest
it's still a rotting carcass in water.
Yeah. Okay. That's not good. Somebody should get out there and take care of that somehow. I don't know. Set it on fire, I guess. I don't know.
It's ready to go, right?
This is a good example of I don't understand why pollution happens. So just because you don't have kids, now the environment goes to crap. I don't get it. What we're just making me feel bad. We're making me feel bad about how we take care of the earth now, but that's not how it is now. It's supposed to be because we don't have kids, this stuff happens.
So okay. So if we didn't have kids, then the future of humanity is non-existent.
It's true, yeah. So without the potential of having children, then everyone is just on they're running the clock out. This is the last generation. We'll have a good time. We'll make things. Maybe this is it. We no longer have a need for sustainability. We no longer have a need for non-pollution, because who cares? There's no more humans. So after the next 60 years or whatever, then the Earth is for everyone else. So all the other animals, whatever. So the factories can do this pollution stuff because we just need goods for the next couple decades. Like, who cares about cleanliness? Like, who cares about maintaining things? Who cares about emissions? Like, humans are dead anyway.
I see what you're saying. I mean, in principle, the societies should care about pollution because we want the Earth to survive, and it's the right thing to do for wildlife and stuff. But it would be hard to get motivated if you're like, well, I'm protecting the Earth for no humans in the future. How about I just pollute and make the products that I need to live my life until I die, and then when I'm dead, the Earth will rebound once humans are gone.
Yeah. So one is that there's like whatever plants and animals like this polluted environment will just thrive and then take over the planet. And as humans, I don't care because there are no more humans anymore.
That's right.
Like, whichever animal and whichever plants take over after us, like, do your thing.
Yeah, we don't care. Although, if they suddenly found a cure for no fertility and humans came back, they're like, what the
what have we been doing? Like, undo.
Why is the lake on fire? Why? What?
Can't we quarantine that fire, keep them away from the cows? What are they going to eat? How are they going to make hamburgers after this?
I know, because hope nobody's drinking that water. It's
Nobody's
disgusting.
drinking that water. That's not safe.
Yeah, it's disgusting. So this is Theo and the pregnant girl and the nurse entering Bexhill refugee camp. How did
Bexhill? Can we look up? Can we zoom on that? That is. Oh, it is a B.
It's a B.
I thought it was Sex Hill.
Oh no. Although there are some questionably named things in the UK. Anyway, how did the UK get to the point where there's this brutal nature to immigration? Like, look at this. This is the refugee camp. Horrible barriers, like pollution and fires and grossness.
Dead in there, whereas outside is like lush and green. Yeah.
Just look at the brutality. You got like chain link fence, another fence, chain link fence, like harsh lights on people.
It's hard barbed fence and barbed wire on top. It's worse than chain link.
Oh, did I say chain link? Yeah. It's hard fence
with barbed wire on top, with razor wire, or maybe razor wire.
And they're just beating people.
Yep, people in cages. Like tied up, they're like they're not even free to move their arms. They're like tied to the fence, tied to the wall.
Right, like these guys right here. They're somehow like strapped to the fence so they can't move.
Effectively straitjacket.
And then this guy comes in and just starts harassing people, kind of for no reason.
Right.
Look up, you piece of shit. Look
Dog
up.
likes it.
I said, what's wrong with you?
Italian.
Look at me. I said, what's wrong with you?
Gabriel, help us.
Shut up!
Come to our aid in this hour.
Get out! You fucking
Feels bad.
disgust me.
Unnecessary.
She's okay.
Yeah, right.
She's gonna be.
Okay,
The guy's so mean.
but at the same time, the people are still coming. And in fact,
True.
why didn't these immigrants stop in France? Why didn't these immigrants stop in Germany? Why didn't they stop in Spain? Well, because those places have fallen into chaos. Which means
So if I'm somewhere in Europe and the world has fallen apart, my first thought is not Britain. My first thought is like Spain or France, because they're lower in latitude, and so it's going to be easier for me to just off grid, just set up enough farm, maybe even I have up to 10 people. I can just set up my own little homestead in the country. No one's there. No one's going to know about me. And it's going to be much easier to grow food there.
Yep.
And so there's some what you're saying is there's some statement that even though it would be strategic, it would be a better strategy to and just easier to live down in those climates, the people aren't doing that. They're choosing to come to England or coming to Britain and risk encountering this stuff.
Right, and Britain is a harsh climate. It's rainy, it's cold, it's difficult to survive, it's cloudy all the time, it's hard to grow things.
Like finding resources is really the big thing to me, and just feeding people is really the big question for me.
And you got to go across water to get there. You can't
That's right.
walk there. You got to
That's
get
right.
across water. So it's a harsh travel situation. as
But I
well.
get it. But I get it because it's an island.
Yep.
That means people can't get to you easily. Like say if I had 10 years sunk into building a homestead in Spain and it's like thriving, growing, I don't know, whatever food I can grow there, and then marauders come in, just wipe out my people and take all the food. Like I can't. That is not an option anymore. Like it's not an option for me to stay in these fertile places.
There must be
better for me to
marauders,
go
right?
there.
There
That's
must
right.
be marauders because if there
Because
wasn't,
not everyone's
going to
have
stay.
not everyone's going to have the green thumb, and so their way of getting food is going to be to maraud.
Right.
And if there weren't marauders, then yeah, people would just set up homesteads. So like, I think what we were saying is that it's even with this treatment, it's preferable to go to Britain.
In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, it's even this treatment is the selling point. Because if I'm in Spain and I set up my homestead and marauders come through and wreck everything, then I want to get to a place that has secure and brutal borders. As Britain, that's where I want to go. If I can get through border security, then I can get to a place where I'm secure, which means, like, take this guy, I don't know, right here, these two guys. They're not thinking, England is so terrible, you know, I wish they wouldn't do this to me. They're thinking, I'm glad they're doing this to me.
That's right.
Because that means the next person that comes in will also be brutalized and they won't get through if they don't deserve to. So they're like, if I can just get through this brutal
if I can
thing,
get past the security, then I'm good. And then the people behind me, if they're in, then they're good. But if they're not, then they're kicked out. They're excluded. They're if there are marauders outside, if we have open borders, we being the UK, if we have open borders, then we're letting in the good people that just want safety and want shelter, but they're also letting in the marauders. So I, as a refugee, I want this country, I want England to have these strong borders because I want to keep those marauders out.
Right. And if I'm glad, as an immigrant would be like, I'm glad they have this enforcement mechanism because I'm a good person. I'll get through and the marauders won't. So all of these people are like, yes, please mistreat me and put me through the ringer.
That's right.
Because I want to get and contribute to Britain.
And as long as I do it the legal and proper way, then I haven't broken any laws. I've followed your procedures. Please let me in.
And when I get in, am I reporting illegals? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That was... So actually, now, how did we get here? That makes sense. Britain is protecting itself. And also, the immigrants have buy-in to the protection.
So now, I don't think it needs to be that brutal.
Okay.
But maybe there, as we said now, there's some synergy between the nastiness of it and actually the security that you want to provide. But I could also imagine, I mean, giving my impression of British people, is that they probably did not start off like this.
That's
probably like here's your tea and crumpets. like neat, orderly, polite but firm but polite. My hunch is that in this dystopian scenario, people were like, England's the place to go, or Britain's the place to go. Like go. This is the one country left. Like we're gonna flood. In which case, if the security people, the refugee camp controlling people, don't have the funding to scale up properly, then I mean, if they can handle 5,000 people a year, but they're getting inundated with 30,000, then stuff like this is gonna happen.
So you're saying there are times when brutality is an actual consequence of lack of resources and funding, not necessarily like that was the intention to begin with. So say this is like a 10,000 person camp. That's what it was designed for. But 100,000 people are crammed in. It becomes brutal, not because it was designed that way, but they just don't have the funding and resources to build 10 more.
Yeah, I mean, we see it with disaster relief scenarios where... So I'm removing the nastiness of outsiders, like disaster relief. Like these are our people. We want to give them tents and food and shelter, but it's just hard to scale up quickly enough. And so then you end up with 30 people in a tent when it's supposed to be 10. But we just can't scale fast enough. And then people can become quite mean.
Like this guy.
Right.
because it's a lack of resource environment. Probably oversight's a little bad. You hire a couple people that aren't so kind, and in an environment where it's just resources are taxed to the max. This is his way of dealing with it.
Even kind or unkind, what I'm saying is like he has to put himself in a situation that is not nice every day. He has to make decisions that are not nice. He needs to decide who gets to go in, who gets to go out, and so I think you numb yourself, you steel yourself, and so you don't feel things so strongly. And where I'm thinking of this is actually from nurses and doctors. Like at some point, they need to dehumanize their patients because otherwise they can't perform their jobs well. Like at some point, a surgeon's like, it's just a body, it's just a mechanical suit. Like I'm not operating on a family member. Like I'm not operating on a person. Like I just cut the thing, I sew the thing, I'm done. Like,
right. So you're saying this guy, maybe he came in like kind and he was taking care of people, but people started taking advantage and pushing him around. He's like, all right, I'm going to come in hard, and I got to dehumanize so that they don't mess with me, because I don't have the time. I don't have the situation. And since I'm encountering this day after day after day, he develops this guard personality.
I'm saying
something.
I'm saying something even gentler than that. So in your statement, it's like some people push the boundaries. Some people didn't take him seriously. I'm saying like he has to make decisions of you get to go inside the country, you have to leave, and like he'll see people breaking down and crying because they want it in, of course, right? And so to not feel that emotion, so that way he can continue to do his job that he needs to do for the security of the entire country, then he needs to just kind of turn that off. Like,
I see. So he's dehumanizing because he has to make difficult decisions in individuals' lives. He can't handle the emotion of making these brutal decisions for people.
Right.
And so if he doesn't think of them as people, he can emotionally handle it day in, day out.
Right. And when you don't think of people as people, then you get this mean stuff.
I see it. So on first glance, it's a shock to the system, but like maybe getting there in a world of difficult circumstances, it's kind of, we can maybe understand it a little bit.
I can understand it. And then, as we said earlier, this is the security that refugees are looking for. If you can get past the security, then you're good. You're set. And if you came in legally through the security, then you want the security to stop people after you that are trying to do it illegally.
Right. So he might be getting praise from the citizens of Britain and from the legal immigrants,
legal refugees
in Britain.
Legal immigrants, that's right.
Legal immigrants, yeah.
Because not just the refugees, like everyone that comes in is like, thank you. Like, please keep our society orderly.
I couldn't do that job because you have to make all these brutal decisions day by day. Thank you for stepping up.
I see it.
I see it. It's kind of, I don't like that headspace that I'm getting into right now.
But that's right. But we followed the logic, right? Because if the outside world is full of marauders, then I can't live out there. Which means I want to get into this high security place. Which means if I can just get past it, then we're good.
But what I prefer is a fully funded immigration system with full information and kind guards, and no human is illegal. That's what I want.
If no human is illegal, then we let the marauders in.
That's true. Somebody's got to be illegal. Like there has to be some system.
Yeah. Especially if say you like waited 3 years out in the muck of the rest of the world, and you're like, I did my paperwork, I sent it in, and they when I finally got up to my list on the list, then they called me in, and somebody else is like, I'm a marauder, I'm a bad person, but I want it anyway. Like, no.
Even worse than that. Imagine you set up your homestead and you also applied for immigration, and then a marauder came in and destroyed your homestead and stole all your stuff. And then you go to England, and then you see the marauder in England. You're like, what the hell is he doing here?
What the heck? That's not cool.
Well, I'd be so upset because this is why I came to Britain in the first place.
Yeah. So then if you came in and you got in legally, you turn around and be like, keep everyone else out.
Keep everyone else out? I mean, makes sense to me.
The illegal ones, of course.
Legal ones, of course.
This was weird. So she's pregnant, clearly pregnant, right?
Yep, clearly pregnant.
Like quite the baby mom. And so for a lot of the movie, she's covered up, and so that's fine. Like it was not obvious that she's pregnant, but there are parts in the movie where she's either very showing or like her water broke and there's like liquids all over the ground. And so it was weird. It was weird how little people reacted to it.
So first thing, I don't think it would work in a tropical or subtropical environment, temperate environment where people are in like flip-flops and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
But
Okay, yeah.
Because she'd be showing. But
That's
like
right.
in Britain, maybe everybody's covered up in like
So
big
maybe.
jackets, so
Yeah.
she can kind of hide the baby bump a little bit.
You can
And
can
then-
hide your pregnancy in Siberia. Like sure. Yeah.
Sure. And also people aren't expecting to see a pregnant woman, so they're just like, well, maybe she's just fat.
That's a good point.
So maybe there is some additional information that is required to confirm it's a pregnancy that people are just overlooking. At the same time, when the water breaks, people are like, what is she? This bitch is peeing all over the place here. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, right. You'd be like, yeah. Okay, so you made a very good point, which broke my argument, and I got stuck on it. Is that if it's been 18 years since anyone has seen a pregnant woman, then it would be so outside of the realm of possibilities, you wouldn't immediately go to it. Like imagine seeing a bee in the Antarctic. Like it's so out of the realm. Like there are no bees in the Antarctic. And that if somebody brought one and you're like, here's a bee, you'd be like, what? Like that can't be here. Like it would take you a while to process it. Okay, so
Right. And if you saw a bee in the Antarctic and went back to base camp, it was like, I saw a bee. People would be like, are you sure?
We need to get you to the medical tent now because you're
Yeah.
hallucinating.
Was
That's
it like ash? Was it like a piece of pollen or dust or something? Like, I don't think you saw a bee.
You're having cabin fever. But after some time, once you realize like, no, this is real, like, and the other people are also seeing it, this is really a baby. I think people would be weeping in the streets, just crumbling, right? Because you went through 18 years of humanity's over. There's no future. We just live our lives and ride it out. And like nothing matters for the long term. And you're like, this is a baby. Like there might be a chance that humanity gets to see the future at all. Like, people would just be breaking down. And it didn't happen. Some people were like, oh my gosh, praying it's a miracle, which I think that's close to the right thing. Yeah, because it's a miracle. It's humanity's over. And then here's one baby. Like that's a miracle.
So I guess I don't really know how I'd react in that situation because it's quite outside my experience. But I can imagine if you're just the society and yourself, you're just dripping in hopelessness all the time. And it's based on the fact that there's no fertility, you know? And then you see a pregnant woman and then you see a baby.
It changes everything.
I don't know how I'd react. Would I weep? Would I like faint? Like, would I run in like joy? Like, I would probably be stunned and like frozen. I don't know. I don't know how I'd react. But it would be there's a lot going on upstairs, I think, in that situation.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I thought people should react more when they see that she's pregnant, or when they actually just see a baby. I thought people should react a lot more.
Yeah, probably. I guess there's the final scene where they're doing the battle, and they see the baby, and everyone's stunned, and then they continue battling. I would have thought it would be more like there was like a solar eclipse during a battle in like Turkey in like 300 AD or BC or something.
Yeah,
and like
stopped
everyone stopped and they like made peace like right then and there. Probably I would imagine it'd be something like that where people are like, we're stopping, fighting over
whatever stuff we had before is not important. Like,
right.
Protect the baby. The future of humanity right in front of us.
Right in front of us. We got to figure this out. Just everyone stop. Cut
it. Let's get some autographs. Like, heck yeah, right?
Autographs.
Oh yeah. This is the new youngest person.
Oh yeah, get autographs from the first mama.
Can I get a little baby handprint?
A little bit, little footprint.
Yeah,
get autographs from her. Oh yeah, that's good.
I was there.
Hey, everyone! All right, we're gonna do limited number. We got 100 autographs and 100 footprints. Everybody gets a copy. Ooh. You know, we're gonna auction this off. Let's get this rolling. Merch, baby.
Right back to capitalism. Just boom, just right there.
Oh my gosh. Okay, this movie, Children of Men, took place in 2027, 16th of November, 2027.
Yep.
that is from the time we're recording. That's about 3 years in the future. Not that far in the future. What did they get right? What did they get wrong?
Oh, I see. So I think they got right that there are still cars around.
Okay.
Yeah. There's
I guess
still buildings with glass. Is that what you wanted?
I was thinking one of the biggest oversights that I thought I didn't see was phones. The ubiquity of phones
right.
wasn't there.
Yeah. So I guess 2006 is when the movie came out, which means filmed in 2005. And
Yeah.
so that's like the crossover between flip phones and touch screens, right?
Yeah.
And so,
I mean-
but even then, people had phones all the time.
They had phones, the flip phones. There was the Razor, that had internet access. There was the BlackBerry, which was used mainly by business people, and that had a keyboard and internet access and messaging and stuff. So all the signs were there, and then the iPhone came out and sort of went off to the races. But it's not like the iPhone was wildly different than the BlackBerry. It just did everything the BlackBerry did much better.
Right. Agreed.
So it wasn't like, oh, we couldn't see this coming. But so I think that was an oversight. That the phones weren't ubiquitous.
Although maybe it makes sense in the universe. So so maybe, yeah. So if you are a totalitarian government, you can control the access of information to people. And what I would do is I would just control the cell towers, right?
Okay.
So then at that point, what's the point of carrying around a cell phone? It's just a calculator. And like, why do I carry this around?
So you're saying that the government is controlling the information on the internet so much. In fact, the internet may even be broken down a lot.
Yeah.
So the access to the internet isn't giving you much.
Right.
And so people are like, well, I'll leave that at home. I don't really need it.
Why would I carry it around and charge it all the time? It's just a calculator.
It's just a calculator. It does a few things. I don't really need it. World's coming to an end anyway. Whatever.
And maybe they just don't have long distance social relationships. You just live in your local environment.
I mean, maybe because the world's come to an end. The rest of the world, UK is the only one in the world that hasn't fallen into utter, chaos. And with chaos, the internet would disappear. So maybe the internet just isn't that extensive. And so people leave it at home and they just live in their local environment.
Or maybe super twist, the rest of the world is okay, but that's just what the UK government says to keep everyone inside.
Ooh,
that'd be a twist. Okay, but that's totally me making that up. I don't know.
There's no way, because then what is the immigration camps for show?
What's the point of that?
Yeah. And rickshaws showing up in Western cities or whatever these are. That's interesting. I don't think that's going to happen.
I have not seen that anywhere.
I have not. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm sure they exist, but I haven't seen them.
Yeah. And I guess crime in cities, that's happened sort of, but that's always the case.
That's always the case. They got video games, right? Right? That teenager with his video game. They got that right. People's entertainment addictions.
Yep. But I guess this kind of dystopia in 2027 is probably not going to come to pass. And certainly the fertility thing, which is the crux of the movie, did not come to pass. But that's not surprising.
Yeah.
But I guess there are these fertility crises going on in the world where the fertility is way low in many countries. Yeah. So we don't have this to zero, but it's super low. So we have this kind of premise kind of on a light mode.
Kind of, a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting.
So I guess we'll see if the fertility leads to global collapse.
Yeah, there's no sequel on this, so we have no idea. Oh, you're saying we got 3 years. Predictions could come to pass. Baby Diego is actually born in 2025.
I don't like it.
All right, there's no sequel to this, so that's it for our recording today. See you guys next time.